Welcome back to the channel. I'm joined today by my guest, Heath the Ref. Heath is a high-level grappler, a referee for organizations like the PGF and the ADCC. He's also one of the world's foremost theorists on Tariqa Plata defense. I'm joined today by my guest, Heath. Heath, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. So you were known for reffing super high level events like the ADCC and the PGF. Can you just tell me a little bit about like what you're up to with those?
Yeah, so I have reffed for, I guess I started reffing for ADCC, and I ref for them for about 3 years, for the last 3 years. And I've done every event from the Opens to the ADCC Worlds. I did the bronze medal match in the Absolute from the 2024 ADCC Worlds. You know, I've reffed dozens of Opens, a bunch of trials, traveled to Brazil, traveled to Germany, traveled to Peru, you know, so like Canada, going international, reffing everywhere for ADCC. I recently decided I want to switch my roles at the ADCC, so I'm going to do more of a coaching thing. And so, yeah, we can talk about that some more. And then for PGF, I came on to PGF, I think it's season 7. And I think I was pretty helpful in getting the rules fully written down, because it's always, you have an idea in your head of how it's going to work, and then it's another thing to put the words on paper and make sure there's not like holes in the logic of the rules or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's one of the super interesting things about just being a fan of the PGF, is watching it be kind of like a work in progress. When you guys were thinking about the sort of game that you were creating, what were like the sort of the most important things for you guys? Like, what are you guys sort of optimizing for?
Yeah, well, anytime that we're writing rules or talking about rules edits, we always go back to the mission statement of the PGF, which is to encourage, exciting grappling and make something that's viewer friendly, basically. And so anytime that we have to decide, do we want to do this or that change, or did this thing that happened in the match warrant looking back at the rules, we always are asking ourselves, okay, how is that affecting the mission statement of the PGF? Because ultimately, everything that the PGF does is to make the matches more exciting for viewers. And so that's everything from the draft to the teams to the rule set. And obviously, I'm slightly biased to think that, the rule set is very, very important, but because I'm the ref, but it all works together.
Oh, for sure.
In a way that no other grappling organization is doing right now. So,
yeah, no, I mean, I think it's super important. I think like when you look at sports, I think even small, like seemingly minute changes in rule sets over time can lead to like very different games, right? I mean, like kickboxing and Muay Thai are very, very similar on paper, right? But then like there's super high level guys who've had real challenges trying to transition between the two of them, and that's incredibly similar sports. Like basketball, international basketball has a slightly different 3-point line, slightly different way they call fouls, and it's really challenging for the best NBA players to compete internationally. So like it's a really big deal, and like the way you set those rules really has like downstream implications.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, when we are setting these rules, we have so right now, jiu-jitsu is not in a place where everyone is trying to do these super exciting matches. We have all these different scattered rule sets. There's no unified rule set for jiu-jitsu. We've got IBJJF, ADCC, EBI, NAGA, all these different rule sets. And there's even a ton of different organizations that are trying to make a unified rule set. There's an organization that's
competing unifications.
Yes, exactly. There's an organization that's trying to do unified college jiu-jitsu, and there's an organization that's trying to do united world wrestling, basically ADCC style rules, I guess, but a unified. And so what I think we're trying to do at the PGF is if you look at any sport, the entire point of sports is to entertain people, right? You're not going to get any money out of the sport if it's not entertaining. And that's why, there's some slower sports that maybe you only see occasionally, like you only see curling in the Olympics, right? I mean, I guess I'm not a huge curling fanatic, and I apologize to those of you out there who are, but I often don't see curling on ESPN, and you know, you don't see jiu-jitsu on ESPN yet.
Soon.
But the point that I'm trying to make is that the whole goal of sports is to be exciting, to bring in viewers, right? And so, you know, maybe whatever mainstream sports we have now didn't start super exciting, but they've changed their rules over time to make them more exciting. So like, for example, basketball in the 40s or 50s or whatever, they didn't have a shot clock. And some of their games were exciting, but some of their games were like, the score was like 9-10. And the one team would score and then hold on to the ball for as long as possible while the other team tried to rip the ball out of their hands and then go score. And then they would score and hold on to the ball as long as possible. So, the point is that, like, we at PGF, we're the only jiu-jitsu organization that I think is really putting an emphasis on making exciting matches. I think that there's some other organizations that might say that they're doing that, but then maybe their actions are not reflecting that. And there's even some organizations out there whose explicit goal is not to be exciting. For example, like on the IBJJF's website, you can go look up their mission statement, and their mission statement is, you know, something like, we want to do these 5 things for jiu-jitsu. And the first one is like, we want our tournaments to be safe. But one of the top ones is we want jiu-jitsu to still be like good to use in the streets, basically. And so like IBJJF's rule set is catered towards their mission statement. Yeah. And their mission statement is not to be exciting. So, you know, I think that ultimately, like, as PGF sees more viewership, it will become more and more successful, more notable, and hopefully we can unify jiu-jitsu, because we need a rule set and an organization that's trying to make jiu-jitsu a spectator sport to bring money in. And if there's, you know, 1 or 2 organizations that are doing that better than everybody else, then they ultimately will probably succeed and outgrow, you know, the other jiu-jitsu organizations that are not focused on excitement. Yeah,
for sure, man. And I think as a viewer, you know, the work you guys have done to design the rules, it really shines through. I mean, PGF is, you know, in my opinion, the most fast-paced and exciting tournament format in jiu-jitsu. I think one thing that really stands out is the way you guys do the shot clock and the you know, and you throw the penalty flag as like a warning, but it's like a very clear line in the sand, right? It's not just like when you watch MMA, you watch Herb Bean go like, let's work like every 7 seconds. When did that come about in the PGF? Like, how do you guys think about that feature? Because I really do think it is a distinguishing sort of thing.
Yeah, it's sort of the gimmick, you know, like every year a new like Call of Duty comes out or something, and they have a new gimmick, like running on walls or whatever, right? And so our like gimmick is that we have this shot clock. It's like the main thing for PGF, and it actually started before I was on. I think maybe season 5 was the first season that they did the shot clock, and it was sort of Brandon's idea from the beginning has been, okay, how can we make jiu-jitsu like a real sporting league? And so that's like the kind of the first rules thing that he came up with. Well, I guess, so first the jiu-jitsu, the PGF has always been, you know, different points for different scores and the team thing and all that. But as far as like what happens in the match, like how you can intervene in the match to make the match more exciting, the shot clock was like the first major thing. And so it was already established when I got there, and I just helped really like pin down the wording on when we turn it on and turn it off. And we actually just had a meeting last week to kind of solidify that wording even more on how we turn it off, because there was some confusion about when it should be turned off. And so now we're making some changes that hopefully will make that less confusing.
Yeah, for sure. That was something, I definitely noticed as a viewer. So to get it turned off, is it about action or improvement, if that makes sense? Like, right, is it enough for the bottom player or the disadvantaged player to change the disadvantage, or do they have to make to get themselves to a more advantaged position?
Yeah, so I kind of had like an epiphany last season. After the first week, I was on a camping trip, and like a camping / seminar trip. I drove out to northern Arizona, went to Flagstaff and
I love
Grand Canyon and Sedona and all that stuff. And when I was out there, walking around in the Grand Canyon or whatever, I was like thinking about some of the problems that judges have in ADCC, and why can't judges in ADCC give negatives? Like, they can, but they never do. And why is that the case? And I think that, like, what I thought was like, okay, you're a judge in ADCC. There's 1 minute left in the match. The guy is stalling, but you don't want to be the one to decide the match by giving a negative point because there's only 1 minute left. But at the same time, the guy's breaking the rules by stalling, so you have to give him a negative. But judges in ADCC, and I think many organizations, are very reticent to give negative points because they decide the match, right?
Yeah.
And for PGF, we kind of that it's like a lot softer for us in that regard. It's not like you get a negative, you lose the match. We throw a penalty on you, you get an opportunity to take a deep shot, and if not, like, then you're not losing, you're just getting put in a really bad position. But even sometimes it can still feel difficult to make a decision. And so the thing that I thought, kind of the paradigm shift that I had when thinking about the shot clock, was that, we need to think about it not as like you're not doing anything, so we give you 20 seconds to do something and then we penalize you. No, it's going to be, you're not doing anything, so we're penalizing you. And we're giving 20 seconds for you to make up for that penalty. So like, you need to do something that is so exciting that it convinces me as the judge to pull that penalty off. Like, pretend like you already have it, right? And so I've got, our notes pulled up here, and what we used to say about deep shot was that it was, and I'm reading this directly from the old rule book, it's a maneuver that forces a strong reaction from the opponent. Examples include, guard, pass, takedown, whatever. And then it doesn't matter the amplitude. If it doesn't, elicit a strong defensive reaction, it's not considered a deep shot. So like, if you do a cartwheel or a backflip and it doesn't do anything, then you're obviously not going to get it turned off. But I think that that was not entirely sufficient, because if you asked me, how do you get the shot clock turned off, then I would try to tell you that, and it's not super specific. And so what we have now is just one sentence criteria. A deep shot is a meaningful, sustained maneuver that successfully imposes your will upon the opponent or compels a defensive reaction. So every single word in this is super important, right? So a deep shot has to be meaningful. So you can't be doing something. Like fake. Yeah, you can't fake a deep shot. It has to be sustained. So you can't like go to pick up a single leg and then immediately let go. It has to be a legitimate effort to try to do something. And it's a maneuver. It needs to either successfully impose your will upon the opponent, so you need to take them down, or it needs to be so strong that it compels a defensive reaction, so they sprawl or something like that. So if one of those criteria is not met, then, that's not going to be a deep shot. And this is, of course, theoretical, or it's not fully confirmed, right? So this is like, I'm talking to you about, this is what we're thinking about implementing. And we still have another meeting where we're going to talk about it, make all the, the final changes. Maybe we want to add a word here or there, whatever. But, I'm giving you guys a little bit of insight into how the rule changes go for the PGF. But so that's like kind of I think that's ultimately what we always wanted, but we didn't have it written down quite correctly, or we hadn't formulated it correctly.
Yeah.
Because we definitely have people that take advantage of they try to take advantage of the rule set one way or another, and that is, it defeats the mission statement of the PGF. And so that ultimately is why we have to clarify the language or whatever.
Yeah. But I mean, that's like the nature of sport, right? I mean, it's like anytime there's stakes and you have a bunch of adults who are deeply invested in a contest and really want to win, they're going to find the optimal path to take. Just like those basketball players, they were playing pickup with their friends. No one would be stalling with the ball, right? But it's like, you put a little bit of money, you put a championship on the line, then all of a sudden these guys are gonna try to, you know, get an advantage and kind of kill the game. So like it's an evolving, and every sport does it. You know, I mean, like you can find examples in every sport. I mean, baseball famously put like a pitch timer on. I was like, you guys got to throw the ball. Like, you guys got to throw the ball. You can't just throw a pitch and then rest for 4 minutes, dude, you know? Like,
yeah. No, I mean, I think that it's impossible to make a rule set that isn't gameable. But I think that, like, the way most people think about the word gameable is in a sort of a negative sense.
Right.
We don't want people to game the rules, but what they're really saying is we don't want people to game the rules in a way that's contradictory to whatever our goal is.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we are trying to do, and what I'm always thinking about whenever I'm, you know, writing the words on the paper, is how can we make this rule gameable in a way that pushes the mission statement of the PGF?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to kind of like go with it, right? Like,
yeah, no, absolutely. You have to meet the behavior like as it's arising, for sure. Yeah. And then so for like, I guess the standing position, like what you guys want from the deep shots, I'm a little more curious with like escaping sort of pins or penalizing the bottom play, the pinned player. Like what are you looking to see? Say I'm getting mounted, my opponent's diligently, right, he's trying to dig up my elbows, he's looking for subs, he's being active on top, and I'm trying to kill the game. What are you looking to see? Like, is it enough to say roll and give up my back? Like, dude, if I get to, you know, do a little bump and he ends up in side control, like, will that get it off? Like, what kind of progress does it take for the pin player?
This is perfect because I get to test the wording of the new rule, and this is gonna seem
let's do it. Let's get lawyerly.
It's gonna seem a little bit of like a facetious answer, but you're in bottom mount and you want to know what you need to do to turn the clock off or to not get it turned on.
To get the clock turned off. Yeah, you've thrown it on me. I've been shelling up. I've not been. Yeah.
Okay. You need to make a meaningful, sustained maneuver that successfully imposes your will upon the opponent or compels a defensive reaction.
Nice.
So okay. But what does that mean? Like, so you give me one situation. You said, okay, I bump him in whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna ask you: is it a meaningful and sustained maneuver? Does it compel a defensive reaction or successfully impose your will upon your opponent? And so, like, if you're just doing like little baby bridges side to side, you know, it could not be meaningful. Or maybe do a big bridge, but it's just like a super short big bridge. Then it's not sustained, right? Or maybe you're trying to hit a knee elbow escape, and maybe it's like you're meaningfully trying for an extended period of time, but you're just completely unsuccessful at imposing your will upon your opponent or prevent or like, and they don't even have to defend.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can't turn the shot clock off. Like, it has to satisfy those criteria of being sustained, meaningful. And that's how, of course, this is still in the works, but that's how I envision it happening is that's what I think we want, is that kind of thing. And so, you know, anytime you want to do we don't do like coaches challenges for the shot clock, but imagine that we did.
Yeah.
We would go back and look at the language and we would say, all right, was there a meaningful sustained maneuver that blah, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, give me any example. You're trying to escape and you managed to get back to side control. That was one example you gave, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was probably a meaningful sustained effort that you got back to side control. So you imposed your will on your opponent by escaping back to side control, or they defended your escape by dismounting to side control. So that would be sufficient, right?
Yeah.
If you escape, you meaningfully retained guard. You imposed your will upon your opponent, right? You get back into guard. Or you say you're going for an escape, like you're trying to get in the elbow escape and the guy just stands up and dismounts. Maybe he doesn't want to get his legs entangled or whatever. Like, that would be enough to turn the shot clock off, right? Because but then, of course, those are the very black and white, like, times.
Yeah. But I think critically there's an element of success there, right? It's not just, right, if in MMA, when Herb claps and goes, "You guys got to work," if you just roll over, but you're still getting walloped, you're still getting walloped with the guy on your back, right? You haven't, you'll satisfy Herb that you guys have been working, but you haven't, no one's, you haven't imposed your will really as the bottom player, if you've made things worse. So like, I think that's a critical distinction is there's an element of success there, like you can like kip your heart out, but if you're not active, if it's not working, then you're still in trouble.
It could be that you kipped so hard that the guy's like, oh crap, and he dismounts to you on belly and immediately mounts you again. And that was a meaningful, sustained effort that caused a defensive reaction. That would be enough to turn the shot clock off.
Okay, yeah. That's good. That's good totally, clarification.
It's definitely subjective. You can never, like, athletes, for whatever reason, I understand why they want this, but it's just not possible. What they want is a perfectly defined black and white rule set. And the problem with that is that when you try to define things too strictly, you're going to end up like pigeonholing yourself into like making a decision that is not like furthering the mission statement of the PGF or whatever it is. Could be ADCC or whatever. And the other thing is, did you know what a buggy choke was 5 years ago? I didn't either. And so like maybe we call the shot clock on the bottom guy and he does a buggy choke. I have no clue what it is. I need to be able to think like, oh my gosh, okay, that's definitely a meaningful, sustained effort, and the other guy's defending for sure. Like that's all good, right? And so the main thing that I look to for like advice about this is the like the United States Constitution. So like. Ultimate, like, the rule set is basically a legal document. It outlines the laws of the game. Yeah. So I try to, like, when we're talking about these things and writing rules and stuff, I try to do my best to think like, okay, what did the founding fathers do? And I'm sure there's other legal documents that are like this, but they did a really good job of like, okay, we know that the world is going to change moving forward. There's going to be new technology. People are going to have different wants and desires. And so they built some subjectivity into the Constitution intentionally, right? They built an ability to change it with, different amendments and all that stuff, right? And so, like, we want to take the same mindset, which is that, like, jiu-jitsu will constantly be evolving. What people find exciting, what kind of technology is used in the sport, what techniques are used in the sport, all of that will change as time goes on. And so we need something to be specific enough to get us towards our goal, but general enough that we don't end up like locked down too hard. Athletes always want like
they want black and white.
There's always going to be subjectivity. I mean, there's subjectivity in everything, and things that you wouldn't think that there's subjectivity in, like, and even in law, like, you get pulled over by the cops. Sometimes they give you a ticket. Sometimes they don't give you a ticket, right? Maybe they're like, oh, this guy's cool, I just give him a warning. Or maybe they're like, oh, I need to meet my speeding ticket quota. Sure.
What is an erratic movement when I'm driving?
Right. Exactly. And so like the best legal systems use a degree of subjectivity and the reason of the judges to determine what's legal, illegal, what's counts as a deep shot, what turns the shot clock on, whatever, right? And so like we just have to do a good job of training our refs and judges to know when we want to turn it on and when do we want to turn it off, and it needs to be consistent across the board as best as possible. And I think people care more about consistency than they do about like everything being black and white.
And I think the viewers care about the product, right? And I definitely think it's worth noting that the rule set you guys have sort of creative, in my opinion anyway, is incentivizing the kind of behavior that you want to see. Like watching a PGF event is not like watching an IBJJF, stream on flow. Like, these guys are absolutely getting after it and pushing the pace to a high degree.
Yeah, that's it's good to hear from a spectator point of view, because that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, for sure. And how do you guys think about the I guess a major fork in the road of like rule sets, right? It's like you're an ADCC ref. Like ADCC makes you stand, right? Basically for the first like half of the match, or they penalize
half of the match.
Yeah, and they penalize. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, and they'll penalize like pulling. Do you guys have any internal debates or discussions about that? How you wanted to see that? I know as a fan, like I brought my brother over to watch CGI too, and he comes in and the first match is the guys just double pull and are like no one's committing to anything. I'm like, oh, it's not usually like this. Like it's good, like like.
So okay, yeah. So I think that there's some interesting things going on here, and a new thing that we're thinking about doing for the next season that I think will kind of solve some of these issues. So let me ask you, like you said your brother has never done jiu-jitsu before, right?
Tiny bit, yeah, very,
so
very novice.
If he's gonna watch, like, if you have to choose like high level wrestling match or high level leg locking match, like which one is he probably gonna be more excited by?
Wrestling for sure, no question. Yeah.
Now, how about like a very low skilled wrestling match versus a very high skilled leg lock match? Like people normally like watching. Even
I don't know, man. I feel like a couple seals going at it might be better than no leg locking match.
I think helped me illustrate my point, which is like the wrestling exchanges are more exciting generally. Mm-hmm. And the question is, why are the wrestling exchanges more exciting? And I have some ideas, which they could totally be. They're just theories. But I think that the reason that wrestling exchanges are more exciting is because there's more movement. I think that people are attracted to things that move. That's why a flying triangle will always be more exciting than a triangle that's set up from close guard. And even like a snap, like a pop triangle from close guard will always be more exciting than like the kind of close guard where you like, the kind of triangle where you like slowly work into it from close guard. Mm-hmm. Right? People like to see, that's why all the athletes in the NFL are the strongest, fastest, highest jumping, right? Because we want to see high amplitude stuff. And so if we think that like that high amplitude stuff is exciting, if you agree with me, then we should, in order to push the mission of the PGF, we should be figuring out a way to make those more common. And it kind of is a difficult thing to do because jiu-jitsu, like fundamentally, is a sport about efficiency, not about high amplitude, whatever. And so, it may be the best jiu-jitsu thing to do to play a game of inside position from the stand-up so that you can hold collar ties and tire out your opponent's lower back over the course of 40 minutes. So that when you go to pick up a single leg, it's very easy. They can't sprawl on you. They're tired.
Right.
That might be the right jiu-jitsu thing to do, but that's not exciting at all. I don't know how many people want to watch 45 minutes of standing grappling with like 2 low amplitude shots the whole time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the question is, how do we get jiu-jitsu people to do what we want when jiu-jitsu is not a sport that wants to do the things that we want them to do, right? And so one answer to this question is like, well, we're not doing jiu-jitsu, we're doing PGF, so people need to start training PGF. And they may be, boring, more boring matches than ideal right now, but eventually as the PGF grows and people start training for the PGF, they'll be doing the things that work in PGF, right? And so
yeah.
The other option is that we can just like penalize the crap out of people now.
Yeah.
And then there's like a sort of a middle ground, which is like, how do we get from where we are now to where we want to be? And so like, I think that what we're trying to do now is we have the idea set of what we want to get to, and we just need to slowly ramp up everything to get there. So like we can't, maybe we don't want to do this, but like imagine you wanted to call the shot clock every 5 seconds where, the athletes are inactive. Well, everyone's going to be pissed off at PGF and they're not going to want to do PGF anymore. But if we say, if they're fine with 40 seconds, then we do it every 40 seconds. And the next season we do it every 35 seconds. And the next season we do it every 30 seconds, and we just keep adjusting it until we find like what our sweet spot is for, what makes an exciting match or whatever. Like an NFL game, like they'll call, some games they'll call holding 7-8 times, and some games they'll call it 1 time, right? And so it's like, okay, what counts as holding? We got to find like where that
yeah, for sure. And there's a danger of whatever overdoing it as well, right? Like, just like no one wants to watch boring matches, but you also don't want to watch a sport where the referees are constantly blowing their whistle, stopping the action. Yeah, referee ball, right? I mean, how many times have you've been watching a football game, right? And you're like, it's been a minute and a half since the last play, and you hear the whistles. You're like, what is it now, fellas? What are we, like can we do the game now, And yeah, and like to your point about like wrestling too, it's like, yeah, wrestling is, big takedowns are super exciting, right? Like, it's more exciting than watching people play leg locks. But, watching two guys who aren't really interested in shooting kind of fight for collar ties is like, it might be better to just let one of them sit down, go to their natural habitat, and get the match going,
Well, so here's our proposed solution for next season. It hasn't been set in stone yet. We don't have like all the details worked out or anything, but this is kind of my idea that I think would be cool to implement. We've talked about it a little bit. I kind of drafted up the initial language on the rules and stuff, but we talked about how we have this like decision making issue. How can we make the judges make the decision on who to turn the shot clock on, when to turn it on and stuff? And sometimes the biggest issue that I think that we noticed is that when we have these times of mutual inactivity, then it's like, okay, do we turn it on this guy or do we turn it on that guy? I mean, they both deserve it, but if we turn it on this guy, his team's going to be mad because the other guy was inactive, and they're right.
Yeah.
If we turn it on the other guy, then their team's going to be mad that the other guy was inactive, and they're also right.
Mm-hmm.
So what we came up with is we're going to do, hopefully, we'll see how, like, we could write the rules and then we're like, crap, this is not going to work at all. Or maybe we test it and it's like, okay, that's not going to work. But what we're thinking about doing is something similar to the jump ball in basketball, where one team starts with the jump clock. Like, we don't have a name for it yet. So if you think of a cool name, then let me know. But let's call it the jump clock for the sake of this discussion. So let's say, like, I'm the home team and you're the away team. Maybe because you're the away team, you start with the jump clock. And any time that there's like a mutual inactivity situation, then you get the jump clock, and then the possession arrow, so to speak, or like the jump clock switches to me. And then the next time there's mutual inactivity, then I get it. And we have, 5 matches in a game. So this arrow can even go all the way through, like, between matches. So, like, let's say it starts with you, and then maybe there's 3. So it goes to me, then it goes to you, then it goes back to me. All right. So now the next match, say, my team is Cam Hurd and your team is Jet Thompson. Well, now Cam Hurd has the first jump clock.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the idea. Or, we could do that, or we could do something like with a coin toss where you get to select, do you want to start with the jump clock the first, the third, and the 5th match, or do you want to defer it to the 2nd and the 4th match? Because then you get to decide, you set up the matchups for when you have it first, but then also you get it like less time or something.
Mm-hmm.
Less time.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. I mean, that's you bring up it's like an interesting dynamic too. That's like as hard as you incentivize something for one player, you kind of create an opposite incentive for the other, right? So it's like if I know the clock is in my favor, you are very, very, you're very incentivized to make something happen, right? Yeah. But it's right. But I have an equal incentive to not make something happen, right? It's like,
and that's
fine.
Like, that's fine.
No, it's true. It's just it creates a fascinating dynamic.
If we call it on you anyways, right?
Yeah.
So this is obviously all theoretical, and sometimes we think about some things, and then when it comes to applying them, they don't actually work. So hope, like, the best example of when it actually worked was when we changed the rule for the shot clock when you have the back with double unders.
Yeah.
That you don't turn it on if we don't turn it on the defensive guy if you have the back and holding double unders, because Jet was taking advantage of that rule.
Yeah.
And we changed that mid-season, and it worked fantastically without any testing.
Yeah.
But who knows? This could suck. It could be terrible.
No, it's an interesting solution for sure. Speaking of Jet and gaming rule sets, do you feel like it's possible to kind of game the close guard a little bit? Like, it felt like, because right now you guys are calling it on the top player. Yeah, and it seemed like, I don't know, I mean, maybe Jet just loves close guard. He's obviously fantastic at taking the back from there, but it feels like, if you got a good close guard like Jet, you lock that up and you're putting them in, you can put them in kind of a very tough predicament where you have to decide whether you want to really sell out and take a big risk, or
give him the back,
or give him the back. Have you got
the back? Yeah,
he is, yeah.
I think that I would say that Jet played a perfect game, and I don't necessarily think that the game that he played was like contradictory to the mission statement of the PGF. Like, how many times have you watched the Super Bowl and you're so excited, this is going to be the most exciting match of the entire year? Like this last Super Bowl, I think it was the most recent one. It was so boring. They barely scored the whole game because they're both playing like a super tactically smart game, right? And so, so like that. That's not to say that we want to have like tactically intelligent, boring matches, but like Jet's game has been perfectly built for PGF. So like he started out as a nasty leg locker, right? And so what does everybody do to prevent the leg locks? Well, they back away, they
pass from the knees,
loose pass, they pass on their knees, they try to keep their legs safe. And the easiest thing to do to handle people like that is put them in close guard, because then they can't back away from you, right? Now Jet gets really good at taking the back. People don't want to stand up because they don't want to get their legs attacked. But we saw the entire season, Jet only went for a leg lock one time. Or maybe it was twice. But he only went for leg locks in the playoffs when the points don't matter. You just need to get the win, right? And so, like, I think that people could realize that, like, okay, I'm going against Jet. I'm going to have to give him a leg lock to escape his close guard. And that's the name of the game. Like, how are you going to escape close guard and no-gi without standing up? So I can't really penalize Jet for doing that. And the thing is, when people would hunker down, he was so successful at taking the back from there anyways, so I can't even say that he was stalling. You know what I mean? Yeah,
no, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's like, he was putting them in a terrible dilemma. It's like, that's the point of jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean?
So like if I'm an athlete and I'm going into the next season and I know I'm going to be in Jet Thompson's division, I'm finding the best close guard guy in the country that's not Jet, and I'm doing like 30 minutes of rounds every single day, just opening the close guard. And if he enters my legs at all, then I lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because probably, like, as people make this adjustment that I'm discussing, then Jet will go back to his old bread and butter, or maybe he'll think of something new. But, I can imagine that if people get better at standing up in the close guard, then Jet will go back to attacking the legs, because, as the match gets longer and longer and longer and he's not able to score the 6, he's going to be happy with the 3.
Yeah.
So
for sure, and it's this impetus to move too. It's like that. Yeah, that applies to every position. You know what I mean? It's like, why? Like, in mount, it's like, well, if I don't do anything, they're gonna penalize me. It's like, that's kind of the point. You know what I mean?
Right. What do you want me to do? I'm stuck here. He's gonna submit me. Well, like we obviously don't want people to get injured or whatever. Like don't want people to get submitted when they shouldn't have to. But ultimately, the goal of the PGF is to be exciting, and submissions are some of the most exciting things that happen in jiu-jitsu. And so if you're stuck in mount, you're gonna have to give up something, and that may mean you might end up getting submitted. And that's kind of the way that PGF works. Like, that's the point of the rule set.
Yeah, for sure. And you could see, I don't know, I feel like some of the athletes seem frustrated, like exactly to your point, where they were like, they're in pinned and like they're getting the clown. They're like, what do you want me to do? I was like, well, buddy, you're in a bad. I have bad news. Yeah, it's like you're in a bad spot. Your opponent is very much being rewarded for putting you in a bad position, and that's
exactly. And we haven't seen so much of people like just holding on to the good position in spite of the bottom person like exposing their back or whatever. Like if you're in side control and you like turn to turtle, then that's probably, thinking about our wording that we used previously, that's probably going to be a sustained legitimate effort to escape or whatever. So that would probably be fine. But we don't really see that much of people like Christos did this, and against Cristo Levo, we had this match, and it actually caused a rule change. We call it the Christos rule. But, we don't really see this that much where people, like, get past, turn to turtle to turn the clock off, and then go back to bottom side control. And the top person didn't try to take the back the whole time. Usually someone turtles and the guy tries to chase the back. But, like, in the match with Christos and Cristo Levo was kind of, like, staying on top, and Christos was just turn the shot clock off, and turn back to bottom, right?
Yeah.
And so, we've put some things in place to kind of combat that, but it doesn't happen that much. We definitely want to reward the top person for passing the guard. So
yeah.
If you're training for PGF rules, you need to be doing a lot of submission defense and a lot of how can I turn the shot clock off, right? Like do rounds where you're in mount. Maybe you're in mount and they have double underhooks. And the shot clock goes on. Now you have 20 seconds to move, and you can record your rounds and figure out, okay, would that have been enough? Would that have not been enough? Whatever. So you got to get good at turning the shot clock off. It's a part of the game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And moving forward in the future, I think what makes PGF, part of what makes it work so well is the team format and the season format. And there's a lot of matches, and they all count towards points and everything. So, in the regular season, a guy doesn't get any, it ends in a draw or whatever, and it's sort of fine, right? It's like, yeah, that's part of the game. There's lots and lots of matches. If you're the best grappler in the PGF, that's going to come out over the course of the season, no doubt. As you think as like jiu-jitsu as a whole and like rule sets, like, do you think PGF is like a good format for like individual tournaments? Like, would you like to see local tournaments, smaller tournaments, and even like the professional individual circuit moving more towards PGF rule sets? Or do you think the PGF really kind of only works in that sort of season format?
Oh, absolutely not. So I've been actually thinking about this recently, and other than my mom, you'll be the first person that I've kind of told about this idea. But I was thinking about mostly from a kid's jiu-jitsu perspective, but you can do this for adult jiu-jitsu too. But that was like, okay, we have, like, obviously you're familiar with NFL flag football, right? Like the kids,
of course, yeah,
flag football. So how does that work? Or how does any like elementary school sport work? You sign your kid up, and they ask you, maybe, are there any friends that are signed up that you want to be on a team with or whatever? And then they split up the kids, maybe based on the region that they live in, or maybe just randomly or whatever. And the dad is the coach, and they go to like a local field, and they do their practice, and then they have a game, every weekend for 8 weeks or whatever. So the question is, how can we do that for jiu-jitsu? And so we obviously have the weight class issue, which is like fairly difficult to work around. But let's assume, for the sake of this example, that we have enough kids to build a team to build like 8 teams of 5, 10 to 12-year-olds at 5 different weights. Well, okay, maybe then you're signing your kid up, you sign your kid up, all these people sign their kids up, and then we would like split them up into different teams based on the region that they live or whatever. And then they would figure out a coach. Maybe we could assign them a volunteer coach or whatever. And then those people would have to find, maybe we work with gyms or whatever. They find a gym to practice at, and the kids have practice like 2 or 3 times a week. And then every Saturday you go and you have like 2 matches against 2 of the other kids from 2 of the other teams. And then, you basically just do a PGF season over the course of 8 weeks. And it's like, I don't know how much NFL flag football costs nowadays, but like, let's say it's, $500. That's a pretty good deal because you're getting 8 games. If you paid $500 to do like this youth PGF league that I'm envisioning, then you would get 16 matches, which is a ton of matches. Like if you were to go to a local IBJJF or something, you may get like 2 or 3 matches, maybe 4 if you're super lucky, right? A local ADCC would probably be closer to 3 or 4, maybe 5 if you're lucky. But I mean, that's like 3 ADCCs if we're being conservative. and ADCC is $125 a division. So, you know, we're like competitive with the cost and
Oh, sure. Yeah.
and all of them are, and then you could set one of these up in like every city, and now you're running a nationwide youth PGF league.
Yeah.
But the other way that you could do it is maybe you think that jiu-jitsu needs to stay as like a tournament format with one winner instead of a team. Well, it's pretty easy to adapt PGF rules without a team. All you have to do is, instead of having a bracket style tournament, you would do I can't remember what it's called, but there's a type of bracket where you start with pool play, and it's like what FIFA uses for the World Cup.
Oh, yeah. It starts with pool play, then goes into like
To a
around
bracket.
16. Yeah.
And so let's say you have 8 people signed up, then you have two round robin groups. You have everyone fights the other 3 people, so you get 3 matches, and then the 2 who scored the most points go on to the finale, like the final, and they fight each other for gold or something.
Yeah, that's super. That's a super cool tournament format idea. Yeah, and I guess
think Grappling Industries already does something similar to that. If they have,
they do. Yeah, they do. I mean, yeah, they do a round robin thing. Obviously, yeah, with the different rule set. But yeah, the last Grappling Industries I did was like that.
But yeah, you would do like points based on, you know, if you go out there and you leg lock all 3 guys, and then the other guy goes out there and he strangles somebody in under a minute, and here's how. If you go out there and you leg lock 2 of the guys in under a minute and 1 of the guys in more than a minute, then you've got 11 points, right? But if the other guy goes out there and strangles the other 2 guys, and he's got 12 points, so he moves on.
Yeah,
He goes to the finals. So I think that could be pretty cool.
yeah, for sure. And then you just have to build in the overtime. Felt like you guys really just adopted like the EBI sort of format, which I think works great. But I don't know if you guys had any internal like discussions about that, or how you guys
different.
Yeah, how you guys think about overtime.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty great. It's tough to beat.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty it's pretty decisive is the thing. Like,
Yes.
it's very difficult for there to be a draw. And there's actually like criteria to make sure there isn't a draw. But yeah, we took EBI and stripped it down a little bit to make it the back only.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like you're always gonna get a winner. You run your 3 rounds, and at the end, the only way for it to be tied is if both people held for the entire 2 minutes for all 3 rounds, which is very unlikely. But if it is, then we just keep going like shootout style, like hockey shootout style, and then they do another round, another round, another round.
Yeah, for sure. And like I just got like, you know, from a fan's perspective, the PGF like individual final, it's like that was like absolutely electric, right?
Good.
I mean, you got Jets been strangling everybody all tournament, right? It's like if there's one guy you don't want to go into a back taking, you know, contest with, and then for Kevin to pull it out in that format was I mean, that was absolutely electric.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the most exciting moments of PGF. I'm still waiting for, there's like some cool stuff that we wrote into the rulebook that we haven't been able to use yet that are kind of related to the finale. Because they're very small, like chance that they happen. And they haven't happened yet. Like, for example, what happens when the team score is tied?
Coaches fight.
The coaches. You better pick a young coach.
The owners fight. I think that might actually be more.
No, but like we have like a tiebreaker criteria for individuals, but then if it's the teams that are tied and we need to crown the team champion, then we've come up with like an overtime shootout thing between the teams that I think is pretty cool. I'm just interested to see how it will actually work when like the top guys are, you know, going after it. Like you said, you know, high stakes, intelligent people, a lot on the line. They're going to put everything into it they can to game the rules. And so I'm kind of interested to see if the overtime shootout will be gamed in a way that is contradictory to the mission statement of the PGF.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the whole using control time as a criteria kind of does a little bit. But I mean, you have to do something, right, to differentiate it. You know what I mean? It's like the World Chess Championship has gone like if it's a tie after 14 games, they just start making the format shorter and shorter and shorter, right? Like they've literally gone all the way down to like blitz before, and it's like, yeah, dude, if it's tied after like you got to do something to separate these guys. You know what I mean? Like after a certain amount of time, it's like, okay, we're just gonna we got to do something.
And the other thing about the team tie is that it's so high stakes because the winner gets the glory and a bunch of money and all this stuff, right? But also, it's like the most exciting thing that will ever happen in PGF. 2 teams tied.
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous,
Yeah.
How much better can it get than that? And so, whenever that does eventually happen, we want the tiebreaker criteria not to be like, oh, who got the most submissions or something. Like, we kind of want it to be a bit of a spectacle to really be like, no, this team is better.
Yeah, for sure, man. Just like changing gears a second. I wanted to. I know you're doing like freelance sort of coaching, right? Like you're offering your service as a pro in these rule sets to help coach people who might not have a coach, who've been traveling to these tournaments. I'm like super, as someone who's been there, mat side, heard the best coaches in the world, heard a million different styles. What do you? I'm sure you've heard every type of, everything from people just yelling go 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 to people just motor mouthing like tons of instructions. Like, how do you coach athletes? Like, what do you think is like a good style of sort of communication? Because
I think that like it's a difficult question to answer because it's a kind of a personal thing. Like each athlete likes to be coached in a different way. But at the same time, I have seen so many coaches coach their athletes to a loss.
Yeah.
Like during the no points period of an ADCC match, turtle. Like they just got their guard pass. And they turtle when they didn't need to because there's no points, and they get their taken and strangled. And it's like, wow, coach. Or like, take it underhook, and then they get triangled or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Like that kind of stuff. And so like I kind of start from that perspective, which is like, so you have those people, and then you have like people that are like Jacob Norton or Gordon Ryan or John Donaher, like where everything that's coming out of their mouth is like very useful technical tips. And so I start here and I see like I know that this is inadequate, and I think that this might be doing too much, but I'm not sure. So like at what point do we stop along that line? And what's good? Where on that line do I find myself fitting personally?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not one, maybe one's not better than the other. I mean, definitely you'd rather have Gordon or Jacob or John in your corner than the guy who's screaming like, go, 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 go. Stay happy.
Yeah.
So my theory is that 99.95% of the outcome of the match is decided before the match starts. It's based on the training that you've done, how your weight cut went, how you're feeling that day. Did you eat a good bowl of pasta before? Did you get good sleep? All that kind of stuff. And so the role of a coach is much more limited, in my opinion, than what most people think. And there are some people who need some emotional support in their matches. And so those are cases where you might want to be like screaming, but you're doing it for a purpose, which is to give an athlete who needs emotional support like that push.
Yeah.
Like they need a little pep talk or whatever. But a lot of the athletes that I work with, I'll like sit there and in the first minute I maybe say like, one or two things, because while they're feeling out their opponent, I'm also feeling out what is happening in the match, what patterns are being repeated and that kind of thing. Maybe an athlete is getting tunnel vision, and you can't identify tunnel vision after the first 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? And so then after the first minute, you kind of start ramping up your coaching a little bit, but also the athlete needs to be focused on the match. They can't be like listening to your advice, and half the time they can't even hear you. Like if you're at an ADCC Open and the athlete is past the logo in the middle of the mat, they cannot hear you.
Yeah, or their brain's not hearing you, right? Like I don't. I mean, I don't. Can't, right? I mean, I've walked off. I think we've all walked off of a match, and your coach is kind of like shaking their head. It's like I didn't hear you, bro. I didn't. I didn't. Nothing you said. I mean, I was somewhere else for that experience. You know.
So when I coach, I try my best to just give ideas rather than like, and you can't be so specific that it takes a long time to get your point across. You can't be like. Grab an underhook and use your blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. It just needs to be like, hey, there's an arm drag there. Or like, one thing that I help out with a lot more than most other coaches, I think, is like in an ADCC match, if you're on the back and you want to rescore points, then I'll remind you, hey, you can rescore here. Open the body triangle and reclose it, and then I'll count people out. 1, 2, 3, and then put it back. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now you got 3 more points, or that kind of stuff. Or like, say you scored a back take, and then you've got 3 points, and then as the guy escapes the back take, he ends up on bottom, and you're on top, and now there's like 1 minute left, and the guy sweeps you. Like, there's no reason to turn your back because you're still going to be up by 1 point. If you turn your back, then sure, they don't score the 2, but they could also score 3. But if you just accept the sweep, then you could just, you're up by 1. They're probably not going to pass the guard in 45 seconds or whatever it is that's left. And so kind of tactical tips like that, that kind of stuff, I think, is stuff that not a lot of people know. But
for sure. And I mean, I think there's like, as someone who's an expert in like the rule set and the situations and has thought about it a lot, right? Like a lot of coaches have it. And then the athlete, when you're in the heat of battle, right, you're not making those, it's hard to make those sort of calculations around, points and situations and scenario. Right? I mean, half the job of a coach is to yell out score and time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And then another massive point of your coach, which jiu-jitsu people don't really have success with, I think probably because of the way jiu-jitsu rules are done, is that the coach is supposed to be the liaison between the athletes and the referees. So like how many times have you, and you played sports in high school, I presume?
A little bit.
So like, or you've at least watched like high school sports. That like kids get upset and then they're like yelling at the ref and the coach.
Oh yeah.
Shut up! Let me talk to them.
I was a soccer ref as a teenager.
Oh, so
I absorbed a lot of abuse for my offsides calls that I think it pretty obvious in retrospect.
Yeah. Well, so that's one thing that like I can do that I don't think any other coach that goes to an ADCC can do, is like I can advocate, hey, that should have been points or that shouldn't have been points or whatever, because I actually know how the points are scored. And every coach is like, I know the rules. But, there's very few coaches that are actually out there applying the rules. They're, primary judge
for sure.
Or whatever.
To have sat those meetings.
Yeah. So I can definitely like provide that kind of help that other people can't,
For sure, dude. Yeah, I think that's I definitely think that's something that you bring to the table, particularly in like ADC style formats that like is definitely super unique. Heath, this has been an awesome conversation, bro. I want to try out a closing question here, because we are an AI company. Does Heath the Ref have what's called a P of doom? That is a probability that superintelligence will annihilate humanity.
You know what? I was actually thinking about this recently. So I didn't mention it, but I did study philosophy in college. That's like my formal training.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is why I'm good at writing rules and stuff, because that's like literally all philosophy is like, okay, here's your theory, come up with the set of rules, and then see if there's like a contradiction in your set of rules.
Yeah, you're the deontological approach, to be, BJJ.
So, I was thinking about this, and I don't know why. I think I was just in the car, and I don't know if I haven't like heard anyone like talk about this way, and I haven't been able to figure out how to formulate my thoughts entirely. So maybe we can do this together. But I know that one of the arguments for living in a... Oh, wait, the question was about if we're gonna die by AI, or it was about?
Yeah, that was the premise.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood your question. Yeah. Let's see. Probability of doom that we will die by AI.
Yeah.
You know, my like senior project for my philosophy degree was based on this conversation method called street epistemology. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
So it's like you use the principles of epistemology in a conversation with an everyday person in the street to help them evaluate their beliefs, and if the reason that they came to those beliefs was justifies their level of confidence in a belief.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, say, for example, you believe that the earth is flat or whatever, then instead of saying, like, oh, well, NASA has pictures of blah, 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 you would ask questions like, okay, well, what is it that made you believe the earth is flat? And they would say, oh, well, this person, like, said this thing. And then you're like, okay, well, is that thing a good reason for believing that the earth is flat? Does it justify your level of confidence? Anyway, so I talked to a ton of people. And the vast majority of people are way overconfident in their beliefs. And when you start asking them about like the reasons for believing something, they have an extreme degree of confidence that's not warranted by that's my perspective anyways.
Oh, I think that is a well-documented phenomenon.
So, you know, as a result, I've lowered my level of confidence in like everything, and like I would never say that I was 100% confident about anything really. Like I can't think of anything that I am 100% confident of. And so you know, now you're at, so that's the starting point, and now the question is about what's the probability of a future event happening that I have no like specialized knowledge of. I know it's just a question for fun, but this is kind of how my brain is working.
No. It's super salient too. Yeah.
So I mean, I would have an extremely low degree of confidence in any particular outcome. Although, part of the problem is too, I don't really know how AI works. So if I knew how AI, and I think that AI engineers don't really know how AI works.
No, that's the wonderful thing about it is what makes it such a fruitful argument is because actually no one really all these intelligence and reasoning are called they call them emergent properties or whatever, and then like anytime whatever, there's the OG of like doomerism as this book where he's like, anytime someone says like emergent quality or property or capability, like you can just replace that with magically appears and you don't lose any like semantic understanding, right? Like anytime you say something emerges, you're like, I don't know why, you know what I mean? You don't, if you understood the processes, you would just describe them.
And interestingly, like there's plenty of other things that we probably thought were magical properties or emergent properties of this thing. Like, for example, like when penicillin was first discovered, there's no way in hell that they knew penicillin poked holes in the mitochondrial cell wall or however.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they definitely thought like we discovered this magical chemical that kills bacteria and we don't know how it does it. But then eventually we discovered that penicillin, I don't know how it works, but that's what I remember from my high school biology class. It has something to do with this.
No, for sure. Exactly.
Now we can make new penicillins that work in different ways or whatever. So I'm sure that like eventually somebody will get a better understanding of how these emergent properties come out of whatever the program and data models or whatever for AI works. And then they will probably be the ones that will be able to better say, hey guys, listen, we're not doomed. This is just some silly little thing that blah, blah, blah. It's never going to come sentient. Or we don't discover it soon enough and then it becomes sentient and then we all die.
Yeah. Or it just recursively self-improves way faster than our ability to interpret what is going on in these endless strings of numbers the thing thinks in. Yeah.
I was actually using Cursor to write some code for like a project that I was working on, and I gave it a prompt, and then like 30 seconds later it was like, okay, I've like generated this file for you, and it had like 20,000 lines of code. I was like, what the hell, you see 20,000 lines of code in 30 seconds? Like, I don't even know how this works. There's a meme that I saw on Reddit recently that was like, oh, AI is so amazing. Like, I don't have any coding experience. I don't know anything about coding. I don't know how it works at all. And I just, like, created 3 websites. Go check them out. And they were all, like, localhost.800, 8000, localhost.8001. So they're all just, like, locally hosted. So, like, you can do whatever, like, I have no clue how it works. That guy I'm like that guy. I have no clue how it works. And so once we figure out how it works, then maybe we will figure out if we're going to die or not. But until then, I'm like, I would say like 10% confident that in the next 100 years, there will be a minor crisis when it comes to AI. But listen, if you live in the woods in Alaska and you're just like chopping trees down and stuff, AI is never going to find you, bro.
Yeah, sure.
I'm building a bus. Yeah, I didn't want to drive away from the AI.
I think, if I go on record saying nice things about it, I think it'll keep me around. So
I always say please.
Yes, I always, I have that same thing where I worry about offending. I was like gonna ask Gemini to make a prompt for Claude. I'm like, listen, I don't know how to say this. I'm seeing someone else. Please don't be offended. It's not you, it's me and my workflow. Please don't take this personally.
Well, didn't there was something that happened with Claude recently where they accidentally released the AI accidentally released itself as a open source.
Yeah, Mythos got this frontier model Mythos got leaked. Yeah,
but I don't know. Part of me thinks like I've been watching The Boys. You watch The Boys?
I don't watch The Boys.
Do you know what it is about?
It's like a superhero thing.
It's an anti-superhero movie.
Oh, anti-superhero.
Yeah,
okay.
And like the superheroes that are in charge are part of like a mega corporation that's like Disney, but also kind of like the government, and it's like a metaphor for all of that. And like everything is schemed. Something happens, and then behind the scenes they're like trying to figure out like a way to spin it, like, oh, that was clearly a deep fake, and then they like modify the video so that the guy has like 6 fingers instead of 5, and it's like, ha ha ha, like, look at your shitty.
Oh yeah.
Like, didn't even work. And so part of me is like, well, maybe this is like one of those situations where they released the open source AI to get some marketing or blah blah blah.
Oh yeah, dude. There's a lot of 5D chess being played. Whatever they like create. They'll create benchmarks and then train their model on the benchmark, and then like pay bloggers to be like, it just destroyed this benchmark.
It's like, yeah, you trained it to.
I can't sleep at night.
I mean, they definitely are getting better. I remember when there was that video of Will Smith eating spaghetti. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Now, like, it's just crazy.
You can just have that. You can just have photorealistic Will Smith eating spaghetti whenever you want. Yeah.
Are you in those is it AI Reddit subreddits?
No. Maybe I should hop in. Yeah, it's the new Is It Cake?
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's like you remember the black and gold or blue and
oh yeah, that tore our country apart. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that kind of stuff. But they post like pictures that people think are AI. There's one recently, and it was like a pizza from like a pizza restaurant. In someone's hometown, and they swore that it was not AI, but then like the pizza had like 4 slices on one side and 5 on the other, but then one of the slices was like inside of the other slice.
Okay.
So it was like, and like most of the stuff, you really have to look at it to be able to tell that it's AI or not. Like it's such like small, like one of them was like it was a picture of a trailer park that had been destroyed by a tornado. Mm-hmm. But then if you zoomed in on one of the destroyed houses, there was like an IKEA, the pictures from like IKEA catalogs?
Yeah.
It was like an IKEA catalog picture inside of the destroyed home as like that's what the AI had designed that living room off of, which really doesn't make sense because a destroyed tornado living room.
Yeah, and I think we know people in trailers aren't, building out with IKEA, but yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty nice trailers, bro. But
yeah, okay.
yeah. Anyways, do I think that AI is gonna kill us all? I'm not much of a doomer myself, so I think that the chances are probably lower than maybe you or Sid might think. But
Oh, I do. I don't know. I think you hit the nail on the head with the whole confidence of future events, for sure.
I mean, you've seen like the predictions for like climate change and stuff. Like obviously they're temperatures are trending up or whatever, but once you get to 50 years, they're like, we don't know if it's going to be 4 degrees hotter or a half a degree hotter.
Yeah.
The range is massive. And so that's kind of how I'm like, and then like, that this is like 1 year and then 2 years and then at 5 years, it's like that. And then at 10 years, it's already,
Yeah. Yeah. And this also just like a lot of times devolves into two people arguing about how a super intelligence would behave. And it's like, that's kind of crazy. Like, you know what I mean? It'd be like a bunch of ants debating what we're like, and they'd be like, well, obviously, like they're gonna have super deep tunnels, dude. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna like obviously these guys are gonna have leaf stores that we could only dream of, and it's like, yeah, you guys don't actually understand our preferences.
They're gonna have high tech fungus growing farm.
Fungus growing, yeah. So much fungus.
Yeah.
All right, cool, bro. This has been a great convo. Where can people find you, Heath? Anything you want to shout out?
Find on Instagram at Heath the Ref. You can also join my school. It's Gaming ADCC Rules with Heath the Ref. So if you look that up, you should find it. SKOOL is the name of the website. I'm actually teaching a seminar this weekend in Dallas at All American MMA. So that seminar will be posted on the school. And then I'll be teaching some youth summer camps this summer. So if you made it this far and you've got a kid that's interested in ADCC, we're going to be teaching in Dallas from the 15th to the 18th, which is the week before the Dallas Open, in July from the 6th to the 9th, which is the week before the Miami Open. We're going to be in Florida. So we'll be in Dallas before the Dallas Open, in Florida before the Miami Open, and then in Austin before Youth Worlds, which is the 3rd to the 6th. And every camp is, 4 or 5 hours of training with some of the best kids in the world. I'll be leading all the instruction along with a handful of other phenomenal coaches. Jacob Norton's actually one of them. We're going to be covering how to win under ADCC rules. The first camp is all about scoring prevented guard passing points, attacking high-risk guillotines. The second camp is all about scoring, preventing takedowns, and attacking anacondas. And then the last camp is about scoring and preventing back points, and then attacking and defending triangles and arm bars. So,
yeah.
If you want to prepare for ADCC, that's the place to do it. And if you want to see how we're doing it, then just get on my school. I'm going to record everything from the camps and post them. So,
awesome, Heath. Thank you so much for being on the pod.
See ya. Thank you.
Yep.